I get the recordings.
So here I am with Sean. We're reconnecting after a bit of a brief interlude, or a little bit longer than brief interlude. And Sean and I have been talking before I started recording about what he's going to do to take SharpR, the SharpR group, into a virtual world. And some of the things that we've been talking about is what SharpR does, and that is it improves, vision. It's really vision training. So as Sean said before we started the recording, it tends to slow the game down. Now, one of the things I said, it's not just for athletes, it could be for people like me who are using technology, a lot of technology every day, and pattern recognition is really important. So if you're a quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs and you slow the game down and you see the patterns, you'll be a better performer. But the same thing is true for anybody today using any sort of technology platform, and virtually everybody is. Sean, even a janitor these days has to know how to use technology. He or she has to be able to go to a computer every day, find out what the work orders are, carry out the work, come back or log into, say the work has been done, and these are the things that I had to install or change, because the billing from the property management group comes out of that. So virtually everything on the planet these days, requires some kind of interface with technology, whether you're just using a smartphone or a tablet or a computer or whatever. So I really like the SharpR group idea. So one of the things that we're talking about now is possibly using Zoom or some platform like Zoom to help the SharpR group deliver either one-on-one coaching like I'm doing now for Sean, or one-on-many, one with a group, a coach with a group, that's possible. Or even, as Sean pointed out, solo training, where he or she does some training and reports back to a coach on what he or she has done. And all of this can be recorded. And then just to top it off, I mentioned this group, and I'll share my screen one more time just for the record, Sean. The other thing I talked about was this group in Belleville, Ontario, who runs a little store called Happy Buddha. You can see it on the screen, right, Sean?
Yes, sir.
And so in this Happy Buddha store, they have 6 psychics, and people go and get a psychic reading, 30 minutes or 60 minutes. And hopefully they have a bit of fun doing it. And one of the things I've been encouraging them to do is to build their website, which they are now doing, and deliver their psychic readings over Zoom, like what we're doing here. So people could book a half an hour or an hour on Zoom. They could have their reading. And what's cool about it is after the session is over, the psychic can download the session to a computer, then upload it to YouTube, which is free, their YouTube channel, and unlisted, and just share it with the client. So the client then has his or her reading, and they can refresh their memory. Same thing with SharpR. So and then what I said to Sean is you could take SharpR group to the next level, which is what I'm hoping Happy Buddha will do. Once you've set it up, instead of having 6 psychics on the system, they could have 60. They don't have to be in the store. They could be all over Canada, the United States for that matter. They could be anywhere in the world. And as long as they're vetted and they are delivering a good service, you have a platform. And from that platform, there's no franchising or licensing, but the platform, the SharpR group platform, if I was an independent coach, in Florida, and I wanted to use the system to train my athletes, a tennis coach or a football coach, or for that matter, a hockey coach, it's very important for defensemen to see patterns. I could use the system, and then somehow we share the revenues. Amazon does that. They allow resellers on their network. And typically Amazon keeps either 70%, either 30% or 40% of the revenues, and the reseller gets, 60 or 70% of the revenues. And if something like that would work, that's what I suggested to Happy Buddha, that if they had 60 psychics from, who knows where on the system, the psychic would get 70% of the revenues, and Happy Buddha, for running the platform, would get 30%. So these are really great models. They are pandemic resistant, they're big box store resistant, and they're in demand. This is what people want today.
Perfect.
So that's my summary. So where do you want to go next? Let's just stick with SharpR, and then we'll talk about.
Let's talk about the platform, development of the platform. So
all right, tell me what's your thought there?
Well, so number one is that I think we were on the same page to begin with. So we've built in the back end a booking system for anybody.
Yep.
and we have built LinkedIn. Our Zoom is linked into the booking system.
Okay.
So you can, but now we just have to buy more Zoom accounts for the individuals who required it. That's all.
Yeah.
But so that was kind of the goals, where we can push people into our website.
Yeah.
And as platform, right? And whether it's the booking site or the product site, I think we'll leverage the product site to be the platform piece. That's where we have everything, or excuse me, the booking site, and that could be our platform. So coaches could come in. So if you want to dig a little deeper there, I'd love to hear your thoughts around what a platform should look like. I think we can bring in tools, and I don't want to get in the weeds, but we can bring in tools like Lightspeed VT or Kajabi that could be membership based. So there could be courses there.
I think that's a good point. Talk to me about what a membership model looks like.
So my initial thoughts around membership is that for X dollars a month, you would get access to an online program that we would obviously tape and have maybe X amount of sessions and take coaching. You would have to be, either buy the tools from us or go get the tools on Amazon. Doesn't matter. We don't care where you get it, where we get the best price. And you would get a certain amount of coaching, and we could provide weekly webinars depending on certain levels. So for example, Warren, our partners could come in and present, do webinars. We could have Ryan Harrison, special coaches, athletes come in once a week, again, depending on the model, right? And the pricing, come in and do special sessions for them, taped, posted on web. So I think there's a whole opportunity there to bring partners in and have a membership program as well. And other coaches can leverage that.
Yeah, I do really like the membership model. I mean, just not that it's particularly relevant here, but I have an industrial building. It's not very big. It's about 4,000 square feet. It's been empty for a while. And I had no idea what to do with it. I mean, it's kind of a funky building. I like it, but it was empty. So you can imagine how much revenue it was producing.
Yeah, zero.
Yeah, zero.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, maybe somebody would want to rent it, like for an industrial user. And I didn't have any takers. So I created what I call a makerspace. You could bring in your own, workbench, and you can put it in there, and you can share the 4,000 square feet with everybody else. Mm-hmm. And it's really taken off.
Nice.
Let's say you are sitting at home, you've got, your garage is full of your tools, and you're working on stuff in the garage or in the basement, and your wife or possibly your husband gets sick of you, cluttering up. I want to be able to park my car in the garage, honey. It's cold outside and it's snowing. And so eventually you get kicked out of the house. And these days, I don't have to tell you, Sean, even before the pandemic broke over the planet, pretty much everybody was heading towards being a gigpreneur, having some kind of a side hustle, right?
Yep.
And sure enough, as soon as I set it up as a shared space, lots of people came out and said, yeah. So I'm charging $135 a month to be part of the Makerspace Club, plus $15 a month of contribution towards power, plus another $12.50 because I had to hire a cleaning lady. These people aren't necessarily the cleanest.
The cleanest, yeah.
They're nice people, but it's a workshop, buddy.
Yeah.
So for like less than $200 a month. Now, if I get 50 members, I'm not there, but say I do, 50 times 200 is $10,000 a month. Mm-hmm. For this space, typically you would get about $1.25, $1.35 per square foot per month, maybe $1.50 if you were lucky. Say $1.50. So for 4,000 square feet, I might make $6,000 a month. Yeah. And with a membership model, I'll probably be able. I might even double it, but certainly it'd be 50 or 60% higher. But even so, what's even better is that if you have 50 members and one decides to leave, you've gone from 100% occupied to 98%.
That's right.
And if two of them decide to leave, you've gone from 100% to 96%. Yeah. It's not the end of the world. Whereas if you have one tenant and he or she, they decide to leave, you've gone from 100% occupancy to zero.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit
Same story for multi-tenant resident purchasing, right?
yeah, exactly. That's why if you bought a house, like I
Yeah.
have this house, I got a new house here. Not, it's a new old house, but new to me house.
Yeah.
I have a studio apartment in the basement, which I can rent out. And so it's kind of duplex. Right now, the rent I get from it is zero because my youngest son, Sean, broke up with his girlfriend and is living in his mom's
He's
basement
back
for
in.
free.
He's back in. Yeah, he's back
So,
in.
I don't make any money, but one day hopefully you'll find another girlfriend and move out.
Yeah.
That's Matthew, if you remember Matthew.
Yeah.
So I really like the membership model. And so if I understand what you're talking about is on this side of the business model, where my right hand is, are a bunch of coaches. Okay? Correct?
Yeah.
And on this side are a bunch more folks who want to get trained. So let's say you had 4 or 5 coaches or 6 coaches, like the 6 psychics at the Happy Buddha. So you have 6 coaches over here, and maybe you have 60 people who want some coaching, right? They want to be better football players, want to be better technologists. They want to be better coders. If you're responsible for a GUI, a graphical user interface, creating a graphical user interface that's intuitive that people can get used to in seconds or 2 minutes, as opposed to, I don't know about you, but Facebook
esports. Think about esports, Bruce.
Well, esports is perfect, but I'm not just talking about athletics. I'm talking about just the average person who's using technology, or the people who are creating that technology. If they are struggling, like, I don't know about you, but when I go on Facebook with Facebook pages and Facebook groups and multiple Facebook pages that I don't know, I have 7 or 8 of the damn things.
Yeah.
I can't figure out how to make a whole lot of stuff work on Facebook.
Try and get your ads account back up.
To me, Facebook is a kludged together piece of crap. It's just a bowl of spaghetti mess. From my personal point of view. And Twitter's a little bit better, Instagram's a little bit better, Pinterest is a little bit better, but they're all pretty crappy, really, in terms of their Zoom is a little better. That's why Zoom went from 10 million users when the pandemic started. I was one of them. Before the pandemic started, I was a Zoom member, so I was one of 10 million to about 400 million clients in 10 months. So having a very, very quick pattern that people can intuitively sort of figure out without having to be geniuses, that's really important. So you've got, say, 6 coaches on the right-hand side, and you've got 60 people on the left-hand side. This platform should be able to bring them together to do all the things that you talked about. Having said that, Sean, I super believe in keep it simple.
Mm-hmm.
By that I mean your level of technology and integration on your platform should reflect the level of business that you're doing. So if you were at the level of an Amazon, where you're doing, I don't know how many tens of billions of dollars in revenues, hundreds of billions of dollars in revenues, you have a certain level of integration and technology sophistication. For somebody like me, who runs a very, very small business, a few $100,000 a year coaching practice, a realtor practice, my sort of the height of my technology is that you could go on my website and you can book a clarity call with me without me having to do anything.
Yeah.
That's about it. And I probably spend about $20,000 on my website, maybe a bit more than that, maybe $25,000 over a few years now, but I didn't spend $100,000 on it. So, the tools that I use, Google Calendar, Zoom, YouTube, social media, an automatic booking thing, I probably have spent about $25,000, maybe $30,000 over a period of probably 2 or 3 years, getting it to the point that it is now. That's an okay amount of money to spend, when you have a business that does $200,000 or $300,000 a year, maybe a little bit more than that, but not much more than that. So that's pretty small. So what I would caution you on is not to try and do too much. In other words, I'd be okay if you had a little booking tool and if you had to manually do most of the rest of it, that's okay.
Yeah.
You with me on that?
Yeah. So you want me to show you what we have?
Yeah, please. I'll have to make you the co-host. Hang on a second.
Okay. So I'll show you the two sites right now.
All right. So I made you the co-host. You can share your screen.
Okay. So give me a second. I think this will work. And then I have to go up here. And I think this will work. And
I can see it perfectly.
okay. So this is the booking site.
Yep.
It should be should it come up?
It'll resolve. Just
These,
a minute.
well, I don't see it. I don't see it making any circles. No, maybe it's coming. There it comes. So this is the booking site.
Yep.
So we can add coaches in here. This is for one,
Perfect.
but it's very easy for us to be able to change and book, right? Yep. And that's great. But I think I'm going to make, what I would like to do, Bruce, is actually make it a tab in SharpR over here. So this is the back end where I think we can just very simple. This is where I have the Zoom. This is where I have everything. I did it SharpR group. Yeah. Hopefully it comes in a second. Yeah, I think it's changing. Okay. So over here, I want to put it in like, so you can see over here, we have virtual programs.
Yep.
Right.
It
so
should
this
be
is where
a
I
drop
want.
down. Yeah, it should be. Yep.
Yeah. It's what that drops down. Can you see?
Yep.
You know, Tracker X, Freedom Pass. So this will be given the member. So this is where I think I want to house everything.
Yep. That's the right thing to do. Yes.
Right. So the booking link, if you did want to book an ant or you want to book a coach, it would be right here.
So if you stop sharing your screen for a moment, I want to show you one other thing that might help you. I'm not sure it would, but I'll show you one other thing. Go to my website.
Did that make sense though, Bruce?
Yeah, it does. I like it a lot. I'll just share my screen with you for a second. And again, this might not be the right thing to do. There might be better tools for you to use, but give me a sec. I'll share this screen with you. So this is my my website. Yep. And here's schedule a call.
Yep.
And they just put Sean Sweeney, email address, schedule my call. I'm not a robot, and you're good to go. It'll pop up. It will not only it will automatically. Once you do that, I'm not going to do that, but once you do that, you get a calendar. You see where I'm available. You poke yourself in there. You put your information in there.
Yeah.
I get an email notification. It's that simple.
Yeah, that's awesome.
The other thing that I have here on my website is ping. Okay.
What is it?
Can you see it down here at the bottom right?
Yeah.
So this is some guys I coach in Kitchener, Waterloo. Mm-hmm. They've created this little utility. So people can come on my website and they can ping me. So it's very simple. So what you can do is you can put your message in here saying, "Hey Bruce, it's Sean Sweeney. I'd like to reconnect. Have you got time to see me? Hope all is well, Sean." And it will pop up on as a text. And from my smartphone, I don't have to log in anywhere. I can just respond as if it was a normal text.
Okay.
That cost me $20 US a year.
Okay.
All right. I'm not saying that's what you should do, but one of the things about the SharpR group that I think would help your website, whether it's ping or something else, is people still want to talk to people, but they don't want to call. Okay. Human beings do not want to talk to each other anymore. Why is that? Because as soon as I've got people old timers, and some of them are in their 40s, so they're not old people, but they are old-timey people. Yeah. They'll call me. Like I got one friend, his name is Denny. He'll call me, "Hey, Monsieur Bruce, how you doing?" He's a French guy. "Denny, I'm good. How are you doing?" "Great. My wife is doing this, and my kids are doing that, and it's so awesome, and my business is great." And he goes on for 5 or 10 minutes. Yeah. And then he says, "How are your family?" And I say, "Fine." And then after 5 or 6 minutes, 8 or 10 minutes, I say, "Denny, why did you call?" "Oh, no, you ask. I want a piece of land. I got a client. You want to build." Holy shit. Yeah. I got 2,500 coaching clients and realtor clients. If they all called me like that a day, that would be like 25,000 minutes a day. Yeah. There aren't that many minutes.
No, I think it's like 1,400 or something. Whatever.
It's not very many.
Yeah.
So with all due respect, so everybody I know do you know those little, chat bots that you can put?
Yeah. So we had our HubSpot. So our CRM was connected.
Yep.
And I took it down for right now, but it's an easy integration or Ping or somebody. Yes. I'm
But
with you.
what for now, because I run such a small business, people can ping me or email me or text me. I'm okay with that. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I charge now, just so you know, $1,500 a month for my coaching plus HST, and it's month to month. And, if it goes well, that's great. And if it doesn't, well, mostly it does go well. So, you don't need that many clients, before you can make a little bit of money. It's a small business.
Yeah.
So I generally am running, 15 clients a month. That's about it. And then I do a few other things, a few real estate transactions, and that's fine. I am 69. So no, but that's fine. I love doing
exactly.
it, but there you go. But so what I would recommend is you keep your technology really simple, and because you're still a small business, right?
Yep.
And so I would have the texts and the emails and the messaging all come to Sean.
Okay. Yep.
For now. And
when he's the only guy going to answer.
Yeah. And so don't, I work with a technology marketing guru. I think you know him, Steve Foster.
Yeah.
Who is brilliant.
Yeah.
And I had to teach Steve. I said, Steve, you're trying to sell me marketing solutions as if I was a $3 million a year business, or a $30 million a year business, or a $300 million a year business. That's fine. If I had a $3 million a year business or a $300 million a year business, I'm buying all of that. Great.
Yeah.
$500,000 technology solution. If you're a $300 million a year business, you're going to spend $3 million. You're going to spend $10 million on your technology. That's fine. But when so I said, you've got to adjust to me, not me to you.
Yeah.
And he did that. I mean, he laughed. He said, okay, I get it. So I'm talking to Steve later today, and he's still one of my favorite marketing gurus.
I work with Steve. I work with him.
Yeah, I know. And so what I'm saying to you is it's up to Sean Sweeney, because you're the boss here, not them.
Yeah.
You are the boss. It's up to you to explain. Well, wait a second. We're going to walk, and then we're going to run, and then we're going to fly, and then we're going to go to the stars. But first, we're going to, crawl and walk. So keep it very simple, and keep your involvement at a level very high until you get to the point where you go, oh, now I can hand some of this off, and I can automate some of it. But that is a big mistake that a lot of manufacturers do. Like, if you were a manufacturing company, I would give you the same advice. If you're building, a widget, the first 10,000 widgets you work with, 50 people all making widgets. And then you figure out how to automate that process. And now you're making 1 million widgets with 10 people.
Yeah.
But that's down the road. Am I clear about that?
Very clear.
All right.
I put big bold letters, be hands-on.
I want you to be
I am
hands-on, because also the other thing that you're going to find is that the technology you need and the automation that you need and the way this whole system is going to work, you are not going to know what the solutions people want are. They're going to help you find it.
Correct.
So for me, when I started coaching 7 or 8 years ago, I didn't know if anybody would want any coaching from me. Turns out they did. But a lot of the stuff that I do is me responding to the market demand, not me telling the market what they should want.
Yeah.
So if I had gone into life coaching, which I would have been terrible at, I would make, $25,000 to $50,000 a year. If I go into real estate investment coaching, holy shit, if I had more energy and time, I could make $600,000 a year, because there's no limit to the number of people who are interested in that.
Yeah.
But the market told me that.
Yeah.
So that's why you have to be involved, at least for the next 2 years.
Oh, no, absolutely. Yeah. 100%.
Okay, what's next?
Well, where we said, so on the SharpR group, we're just going to keep it basic, build up the technology nice and light. Let's look at, and I think it's just going to be the same thing with the tennis.
Before we finish with SharpR, let's talk about licensing and franchising. What were you going to license? What were you going to franchise?
I didn't want to, so just to be clear, I didn't know what I wanted to do there. I just knew I had some coaches that wanted to be part of it.
Yes.
So I liked, and I did, even with the conversations, let me figure it out. Let's figure it out together, what we can do together. And so I said, I'm going to build the platform,
right.
you guys buy, right? And then what that model looks like. So that's, we're on the same conversation.
So I don't really think you need a franchising or licensing model. No. They're different. I think you just need the Amazon model.
The revenue share.
Just the revenue share. And they should get 60% of the revenues or 70% of the revenues, and you get 30 or 40, something like that. It's very simple.
No, I agree.
And what I would do, though, is I would charge coaches something to join the system, just a one-time fee.
They pay for their training.
Well, that's fine.
So I charge them. I charge them for their training. But
there should be an application form. Okay. Because you want to make sure that your coaches are not horse manure.
Oh, absolutely.
That's really important. It's like the psychics I talked about, right? Sean, you're going to die tomorrow. Your wife's going to leave you. Your kids are going to be drug addicts. Well, people don't come for psychic readings to hear that.
Yeah, no.
And some people, Sean, are actually quite cruel. 95% of Canadians you meet are wonderful people. You could give them $10,000 and say, can you hang on to this for me just for the afternoon? I need it, but I'll come back and get it. And they would have it for you. But there's 5% who would say, what 10,000? You never gave me any 10,000. Fuck off. Excuse my language. But, 1 out of every 20 Canadians you meet are just miserable human beings. And probably in the United States, it's higher. So
more volume.
I beg your pardon?
More volume. That's all. More volume down there.
There's certainly, they're much more aggressive too. But and they litigate. Oh, I don't like the way you're parting your hair. I'm going to sue you. But I want to show you, and I'm going to share with you as long as you don't share it with anybody else. Here is something I worked on. With a client of mine out in Alberta. He's a super nice guy. And he's a young guy. I think he's in his 30s. His name is Tim Reid, and he runs a wonderful business. It's called Little Steps Academy.
Okay.
And I'm going to stop sharing, and I'll come back to the form in a minute. I just want to make sure you understand the model. It's a brilliant model. I wish I could tell you it was mine, but it's not. There's a few books out there I'd like to rip the covers off and put my own on.
Put my name on it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, that won't work either. So Tim buys a house. Say it's a 4-bedroom house. I think he's got 7 of them in Calgary right now, on his way to probably 70 or 80. But right now he has 7 homes. And this is relevant to what we're going to talk about in a minute about the tennis thing. Now you have to go at some point, right? What time is it?
11 o'clock, I have a hard stop.
Okay, so we got 18 minutes, so I better hurry then. Yeah. So Tim buys this house in Calgary, and say it's a 4-bedroom house. And he hires an early childhood educator who lives in the house. She's got her ECE. Early childhood educator certificate or diploma or whatever. But she pays rent to live here. She has a beautiful home to live in, and she pays rent. Then he allows people in the neighborhood or from somewhere reasonably close by, I imagine, to put their little kids in here for as a day home, a daycare.
Okay.
And in Alberta, they're allowed to have 6 little kids for every early childhood educator. And he charges around $1,500 a month per kid. He's got 6 of them. He's making about $9,000 in income. Plus he charges the early childhood educator $600 to live in the bedroom. So probably he's making $10,000 a month. And then he turns around and pays her, the early childhood educator. So she's got a home and a job, but she lives there, etc. It is an absolutely outstanding model.
Smart model.
It's a beautiful model. He's got 7, and he's going to end up with, I'm sure, 70 or 80. So he came to me and said, Bruce, I'm getting calls from all over the place of people who want to franchise this. And I said to him the same thing as I just said to you. Franchising is very expensive to do. Every state in the United States, pretty much, and every province in Canada has different rules. I mean, it would cost hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to roll it out just in Canada. In the United States, it might be millions of dollars. And I said, that's ridiculous. So what he's doing is he's licensing the concept. So, the name
Yeah.
the business methods. And what he does is he charges them a 4.75% of revenue royalty, and I think 2% for marketing. But that 2% for marketing goes to Tim, but he actually spends that,
Yeah, he
promoting
uses
the
it.
little
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
So he's actually making just under 5%. So if you have a house that does $10,000 a month in revenues, that's $120,000 a year. His 5% is worth $6,000. Doesn't sound like very much, but
No,
it's
but it adds up with the 1,000 people.
well,
doing it. Yeah.
because he
Yeah.
could have 1,000 of these
That's right.
around North
Yeah.
America. He could have
Yeah.
1,000.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful, like if I were a young person, I had my ECE, frig,
Yeah.
I could make 5,000 or 6,000, maybe not that much. I can make $5,000 a month and have a nice job and a nice house, and I only
Yeah.
work 8 or 9 hours a day.
Yeah.
So
Perfect.
that's not the worst thing that ever happened to people.
Exactly. It's perfect. Yeah.
So
But I like that model, and I like the fact you said, hey, application, because even for my coaches for tennis,
Right.
application fee,
exactly.
right?
So
Training fee.
I'm going to send this to you, but you can't share it with anyone else.
No, I won't share it.
All right. So if, let's say you wanted to have a Little Steps Academy in Ottawa, you could apply to Tim, and thank you for your interest in the Little Steps Academy. So we take all the information, your name, your social insurance number, your birth date, your employer, how long have you worked there, a personal reference, you're required to give your credit score, what is your current annual income, do you have a family, what is your family, do you have any capital available to start the business, do you have any cash, do you have a line of credit, do you have any business management experience, do you currently own your own home? Most of them do not. Do you currently own other properties? What are they? What interests you most? Are you comfortable managing people? Are you willing and able to do this, that, or the other thing? And then to apply, just to apply, is a non-refundable review fee of $1,500, because for him, he has to make sure that the ECE credential is real. Yeah. And they have to do their independent background checks. You cannot have, say, a child sex freak, Yeah.
Do you know much about that? Like, can the employer actually, or the contractor actually do a background check, or do they have to send you one? Like here, when I do for Tennis Canada, I have to go on and log in and they get it. Yeah.
Well, there are services out there that Tim uses and that I use that will provide you with an independent criminal background check, credit report, all kinds. And it's not very expensive. It's about $150 per report.
Okay.
But that's why they have to apply, and it's non-refundable, because if you apply, I mean, these are children, and we cannot take any risk.
Hey, same with that. Me, it could be children.
100%. I know you have 10-year-olds, and you cannot take any risks. And so I'm going to send you all of this. I mean, it's quite clever. For example, here is a part of it which says, please provide an emergency contact. That's really important, because a lot of people, if they're younger, provide mom.
Yeah.
Right? And so if anything goes wrong and you have mom's address and phone number and email address, you're going to find, mom will know where to find her kid.
Yeah.
So I want you to look at this form, and I'll send it to you after we finish. All right.
Okay. Yeah.
But you don't need to do licensing, or franchising. You can do the revenue share thing. That's very simple to do. But you should make every coach apply. And you might not charge $1,500. You might charge $500. You might charge
whatever it is. I'll look at my costs.
But there's no joke about this. It's very expensive to vet these people. So Tim might make $500 out of that $1,500, but he'll spend the rest of it.
And I want good quality coaches for both programs, right? So that's the key.
For sure. All right. So for both SharpR and that makes a lot of sense. Okay. So before we run out of time, let's talk about virtual tennis.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have to tell you that after Tim, I started coaching Tim, and I don't tell Tim this, but I think I'm learning almost as much from him as he is from me. He's so brilliant.
Perfect. Yeah.
So after coaching Tim for a while, I realized that what Little Steps Academy is doing on the real estate side has a lot of different implications. So
that's good.
Do you know what a TikTok house is?
a TikTok house?
Mhm.
I know TikTok, the social media application, but I don't know a TikTok house. No.
So what it is it's people are renting houses, Sean,
Okay. Yeah.
and they're allowing creators like these young people you see on the screen here to live
Mm-hmm.
in the home and create anywhere from 6 or 8 to as many as 12 or 14 TikTok videos a day. All these young people, they can write, they can play music, they can sing, they can dance, they can act, they're funny.
Yeah.
So they're renting beautiful houses. This is a house in LA.
Yeah.
I think this one is.
I've heard of this stuff. Yes.
So when I was thinking about a real estate component for Sean,
Yeah.
one of the things I was thinking of, this is just me thinking out loud,
Yeah.
is you could purchase a rural property,
Mm-hmm.
a house on 2 acres, or a house on 10 or 12
Yeah.
acres.
Yeah.
There's lots of them and they're not very expensive. And you could have a tennis house. And instead of having to rent, very expensive space like you did on,
Yeah.
what's that
Yeah.
street?
I've forgotten. That's past. It's
Yeah, well,
gone.
okay, we've drawn a
I've
veil
gone.
over that.
Yeah.
One we put in the past. But instead of renting very expensive space, what if you created a tennis house?
Okay.
And say you bought a rural property for, I don't know, $650,000,
Yeah.
It is legal in Ottawa and in most jurisdictions across North America. It is legal to have an in-home business. Like I have an in-home business. You have one too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm allowed to run my business here with I think legally, my coaching practice with up to 2 employees. If I don't have any employees, but if I did, I could have 2 employees here legally and run my coaching practice. So say that Sean owns a nice rural property with 5 bedrooms.
Mm-hmm.
And you own it, or SharpR owns it, or whatever group you have.
Yeah.
You own it, and just like Little Steps Academy, a coach decides to live there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A tennis coach. And obviously you would build a tennis court. You don't have to have 10 tennis courts. You'd have 1 in the backyard.
Yeah.
Right. And so you've got this nice house with 5 bedrooms or 6 bedrooms, whatever. And your tennis coach lives there and pays you a little bit of rent. And you can have maybe 5 young people come and live with the coach.
Mm-hmm.
And play tennis every day and do some of the virtual training, because you
need a tennis studio. Like we need a tennis studio.
Yeah,
I need to film all the time.
But what I'm saying is, now this is a licensing model. Okay. This is Little Steps Academy applied to tennis.
Okay.
So let's say I was a really good tennis coach and I was living in Florida. Once the model is perfected, and you have to give it a better name than tennis house, this TikTok house that I showed you in LA, it's in the hills in LA, it's called Hype House. It's kind of a cool name. Yeah. Little Steps Academy, I think that's a wonderful name.
Nice name. Yeah.
SharpR Group is not what I would call this.
No, it'd be something else.
Tennis house or something like that. But you'll come up with a better name. But for now, so I want to have a tennis house, and so there's a formula. You and I can work out this formula. We can work it out, you and I. Mm-hmm. So what we'll do is we'll create a tennis house with a tennis court and a tennis studio, and from that the coach can he can have young people, or maybe not so young people, come and board with him, right, or her, and teach them tennis. But also using the virtual platform, you can go out into the tennis court in the backyard with proper digital cameras, right?
That's what I want.
And you could say, okay, to 100 people or 50 people who are watching, I'm out here with Shelly. Shelly is 12 years of age. She's a good tennis player, but she's having trouble with her backhand. Now watch for the next 45 minutes or 50 minutes while we practice how to do that properly. What's cool about that, again, if you're using Zoom, You
No,
can
I love it.
record the damn thing,
Yeah.
upload it to YouTube, and this stuff, if you felt like it, could be
That's a
public
course.
or unlisted.
That's a course. Yeah, it's a course.
It's a course. You could develop your course
As a member. So the idea, just so you know, the idea, and we're very close here in what you're talking about. I like the tennis house thing, right? But so the idea was that, I was going to give the information that I have is best in class. I was going to basically give it away at a low membership price, build the courses, put it in.
Right.
But what I wanted to do is flip it around and go, okay, Bruce, you want to learn to play tennis. You're going to need to put an iPad on a tripod on the court with Zoom, and I can coach you from there.
Absolutely.
Or one of our coaches.
It's fantastic.
Right? So it's the other way around too. And I thought that was kind of the blue ocean. Everybody's doing courses. I wanted to be able to coach you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. I think it's awesome. So you're absolutely right. It goes both ways.
It goes both ways.
Can watch the tennis house coach and his students or her students, and the coach can reverse it 100%. That is brilliant. But what I would suggest, I want you to think about it. Maybe I'm completely off track here, but
no. Not yet.
The risk factor for you to set up a tennis house, whether it's in Ottawa or Florida, I don't care.
Yeah.
The risk factor for you is very low. Like if you and I, if I helped you or buy a rural property in Ottawa for $650,000 and you put in a tennis court, it costs about $30,000, I think, to put in a tennis court.
Well, it's Canada, so you need something covered eventually.
Well, no, we're not doing an indoor tennis court, not initially anyway.
Okay.
I mean, if you want an indoor court, that's expensive.
No, I know.
So how much, just to put an outdoor court?
No, I think you're probably, let's say $50,000, you got an outdoor court.
50 grand. Oh, so it's quite a bit more than I thought.
Well, no, but 30 to 50. I mean, you want a decent court.
Okay,
right? Whatever.
So let's say you bought a rural property for $650,000 and you put in a court for 50 grand. You've got $700,000 in it, and you put the tennis coach in there, and he or she, they pay you rent, but you bring in some students to live there, and you have all of these other revenue opportunities that Little Steps Academy doesn't have, right? That we just talked about.
I know the filming, the courses, absolutely,
So your revenue potential, Little Steps Academy, I think, is limited to about $120,000 in revenue. That's it.
Yeah.
Unless they find some other way of increasing it.
Yeah.
With Tennis House, because of the outreach thing, and then
that's huge.
That is definitely a licensable product, just like Little Steps Academy.
Oh, yeah, and every coach is an A certified coach. So the revenue model is just huge.
Absolutely.
Oh, good potential. Good potential.
No, I do think so, and I love this model, and I have a few more like it, but that's enough for now. I think it gives you something to work on. So I want you to think about a tennis house a little bit more, and if you're interested, we can do one.
No, you're amazing, because I and this is between you and I, doesn't go anywhere. I found an indoor court in Embrun. So I'm coaching in their bubble on a makeshift court. It works. But I have to drive by. It's in Embrun.
Yeah.
So it's at their sports bubble in Russell.
Right.
They have an indoor tennis court. So I found it. We got a contract. I can coach there. So I've been coaching there. So I coach there about 16 hours a week. And but every time I drive there, I'm like, why don't I just buy one of these farms and put a bubble on the farm?
Okay. How much would it cost to put a bubble up?
About $700K.
Whoa.
Well, no, I'm lying, Bruce. Sorry, I'm lying. That's a 4-court bubble. I don't know what a little one would cost.
Well, you just want one.
Yeah. I just want one in these places. I don't know what one would cost.
Well, let's assume.
I'd have to look in. Let's say, I don't know. We could probably find it. Well, maybe.
Let's say $180,000 for a bubble.
Yeah, a 2-court bubble. You need a 2-court. They don't sell one. You'd have to custom make one. You probably get a 2-court bubble.
All right, so we'll say $250,000.
Yeah.
So we'll say $250,000, maybe a bit more for a 2-court bubble, and $50K for an outdoor.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm with you on that. I mean, that will work. And as long as the coach is living in the house, it's legal to operate this business.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So if you were living in the house, no problem, or one of your coaches living in the in the houses, no problem. What you can't do, like the Hype House here in LA, I suspect is in contravention of the local bylaws, because the guys who are renting it and who are producing it and monetizing the video content.
No, they've made it a commercial property.
It is a commercial property, but Little Steps Academy, because the early childhood educator lives there, a tennis house, the way we've described it, will be legal.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so
I love it. I love it, my friend. So, hey, listen, I'll send a transfer this afternoon for what we agreed on the sheet there.
Yeah, but one more thing I want is that Burning Rock Solutions. Thank you for that. That Burning Rock Solutions thing gives you 2 coaching interactions with me.
Yeah.
And it gives you, 10 reports a year, some of which I've already produced, and you'll get. So I want to hear back from you. And I want to do another coaching session when you thought this all through. Okay, so
let me get through it. Give me a little bit of time to start digging through this.
Yeah,
and let me get a little more.
On the real estate side, you could have, there's no reason why you couldn't have 50 or 100 tennis houses, and that is a licensable product.
Yeah, I have coaches all over the world like that I'm already knowing.
And if you give them a model that works, that you have to, in Tim Reid's case, he has.
We got to prove it here. We're going to prove it here.
Right. He has 7 Little Steps Academies that are really friggin' minting money for him. You got to remember, he makes in his jeans about.
Oh, hold on. Hold on. Are you there?
Yeah. So can you hear me?
Something happened to my volume.
Oh. Can you hear me now?
Hello, hello.
Can you hear me? No?
My phone rang and I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah. No.
I'll call. We'll talk after. I'll send the money. Perfect. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened.